Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the differences between all the different types of airplane and how to know what one's right for you to buy or to buy as a gift. So if you're shopping online, it can be confusing with all the different types of airplane, so hopefully by the time you're done watching this video, you'll know what one's right for you. So when you're shopping online, you don't want to shop by price because you could end up like something like this, which does not even have any electronics in it, and it's more expensive than this one, and this one does have electronics in it. When shopping online, you might see different terms like BNF, PNF, ANF, or PNP. So I'll explain what the different terms mean and how you know what one to get. First question to ask yourself is, are you an expert, which you probably won't be watching this video if you are you a beginner and you're not thinking you're going to stick with the hobby, or if you're a beginner and you think you are going to stick with the hobby. So depending on what type of person you are, will depend on what plane makes sense for you. So now we're going to talk about the differences between all these different types of planes and how to know what one to get. And we'll also be talking about different types of transmitters. A lot of people are intimidated by this hobby, but there's nothing to be scared of because a lot of these planes have technology that would make it easy for even a beginner to fly, and we'll talk about that later on. So the first plane we're going to be talking about is the Carbon Cub. So this plane is RTF, which stands for Ready to Fly. So this plane includes a transmitter, and it includes the plane with all the electronics. Now, depending on the brand, some will even include a battery and a charger. So the controller included in the Ready to Fly plane is very limited. It can only save one plane at a time. And if you're doing buddy box, which is basically a system where two controllers connect, one is an instructor and one is a student, which will help you learn on the plane, which we can talk more about in another video. This can only be the student. This cannot act as an instructor controller. So this controller is also very limited. Other planes have retractable landing gear, flaps. This might not work with all the other accessories you're looking to get. So if you're not looking to stick with the hobby, or you're just like trying it out, or you don't want to get too in depth with it, then this could be a great controller and plane for you. So this plane is a pretty easy plane to learn on. It's fairly slow. It does not have flaps, pretty simple, and it's pretty floaty, so it makes it good to fly for a beginner. So in the event that you do crash this plane, the good news is you can buy all the parts to fix it. So be careful when you're shopping, because let's say you order a bind and fly, maybe you're giving it as a gift, whoever you open it to is not going to be able to fly it when they open it. So BNF stands for bind and fly, which means the plane does not include a controller, battery, or charger. All you get is a plane with electronics. So what I mean by electronics is the motor the plane needs to fly, the ESC, the servos, and everything that the plane needs to operate. So now we're going to talk about the different controllers you need for a bind and fly plane. So this is the point where if you think you're going to stick with the hobby, you want to spend a little more money on a nicer controller. And if you don't think you're going to stick with it, you might want to get a little cheaper one. So this controller is the one that generally comes with bind and fly planes. As you can see, it doesn't have a screen and it's pretty blank on switches. Versus a little higher end one here has a screen and a lot more switches than the entry level one. So with the higher end controller, you can map, like this could be your landing gear, you can map what all these switches do, versus on this entry level one, these are all pre-programmed for you and you cannot adjust it. So with this entry level controller, it's a little less easy to switch it from plane to plane. Unlike this more advanced controller, you can program multiple planes into it and you can easily cycle between multiple planes with this one controller. So now we're going to talk about these two higher end controllers. So this one's even great for learners because it has a speaker and it'll talk to you so you can keep your eyes on the plane and not the controller. So with these higher end controllers, you have something called telemetry, which basically the plane will send information back to the controllers about battery voltage, speed, altitude, and a bunch of other parameters, which a lot of these lower end controllers do not tell you telemetry. So a popular brand when shopping for controllers and planes is Spectrum. So when you're shopping, you might see these different numbers, 8, 6, so I'm going to tell you what they all mean. So the 6 means this is a 6-channel controller. So you got throttle's a channel, rudder, and all these different controls each add up as one channel. So you can have 6 different channels on this one. And this one here is an 8-channel. So that means you have more switches and more features on this one. So having more channels might be beneficial because if you have landing gear, flaps, lights, or all these other different features, these fill up channels quickly, so you might want to have a higher end controller if you think you're going to get more advanced planes with more features. So what's the difference between DX, NX, and even IX? So DX is the first level of controllers, although there are still different versions within them. Like these are both still DX, but this one has a lot more features than this one does. So the difference between DX and NX is basically the version above DX. They have more features, more channels, and are just higher end controllers than the DX. So the level above NX is IX, and those can get up to $2,000, and you can spend crazy amounts of money on those IX controllers. So we talked about ready to fly and bind and fly. So the next one we're going to talk about is plug and play. Plug and play is basically a bind and fly plane that does not include a receiver. So plug and play is also PNP. So the reason to get PNP or plug and play is if you have a receiver laying around already, or if you have a brand of receivers you like that you'd like to put in your plane. So this just gives you more opportunities to customize your plane. The next one to talk about is ARF, or almost ready to fly, even though it's not almost ready to fly. So this plane does not include any electronics, no battery, no charger, no nothing. It's just a plane. You have to build it, you have to put all your own electronics in it, you have to do everything on this plane. So with most of the planes we mentioned here, you can have them assembled in under 30 minutes. There's no gluing or anything, they snap together and screw in. They're pretty simple to build. So the advantages of ARF are you get to put your own electronics in it, make it feel the way you want it to, the speed you want it to go. That's probably for more advanced RC hobbyists or people that have the electronics laying around already. The one more thing to mention before we recap is UMX. That stands for Ultra Micro Extreme. So these planes, it's fully assembled in this box right now, so you can see how small it actually is. These planes are not easier to learn on because they catch your wind easier and they're just small, slow. It makes them harder to learn on. So these planes, they might be cheaper, but they're not better. So most people think that this big red plane would be harder to fly, but this little blue one actually would be because less power, slower, catches the wind easier, and with less power, it's harder to get out of like sticky situations or get away from the ground quicker. The UMX is generally not a good starter plane. So to recap, we got ready to fly for beginners that might not want to stick with the hobby or just trying it out. ARF, or almost ready to fly, for more experienced people. And then we have bind and fly for people that might stick with the hobby. And don't be fooled by the UMXs. And most of these planes here have a piece of technology, so that's called SAFE. SAFE will basically help you learn how to fly planes. So SAFE basically limits how far the wings can turn, so you can't go upside down or you can't climb too fast. And there's also different levels of SAFE. So let's say you're in beginner mode, it'll only let the wings pitch so far. Experience might let them pitch farther, and expert would just completely shut it off where you can do flips and loops or whatever you want. So in expert mode, you're basically in full control, versus in beginner mode, the computer is helping you fly. So although SAFE is a great teacher, a better teacher is joining a club and buddy boxing with an expert or someone that's willing to teach you the right way. So we just skimmed the surface of these different types of planes, but hopefully this video helps you find the right plane for yourself or whoever you're shopping for. And don't forget to like and subscribe.